Oh my goodness. Hello, welcome. Superman pose.
Yeah,
So I was doing over there. I was gonna do a clap sync. We don't do that for this show because we're in it. We're in this part
we're
doesn't
just
get
in
edited
it.
out. Speaking
Yeah,
of
we're
being,
in the inner space.
speaking in inner space, I didn't want to start with a tangent, but a little bit of preamble as people filter in to say
Yeah,
hi,
I think that's good.
whatever. And fortunately, normally there's stuff that is related to what we're talking about. Not today. I did want to. Did you see the Daredevil trailer?
Yes,
Daredevil
I did. Of
trailer.
course. No, I
What
was
did you?
I was warned about it. Somebody texted me last night. They're like, Daredevil trailer at 10 a.m. And I was like, yep,
Okay,
yes.
cool. Yeah. So what?
Not like it matters to me. I'm not. Without Benny to call me at like 7 a.m. and go, dude, get on.
Yeah.
I'm blissfully unaware. But apparently I do have like another guy in the wings. It's just like, make sure to talk about Deadpool or talk about
Yeah,
Daredevil.
make sure here's the last time the Superman trailer, obviously I was dialed into because I was trying to figure out when content was going up, and I'm like, we have a Superman show. That's the one you're on. Welcome to Krypton Academy. I'm your host, DJ Wooldridge. With me as always is Sal. This week we're talking about Supergirl, which we'll get into in a second, but this is our little
Getting our feet wet, getting comfortable, folks.
wet. Can I tell you something? I'm going to start a couple things. One, I'm excited for the show. I want it to be good. I like this cast. I liked a lot of. I did not love the Daredevil show as much as a lot of other people. In that, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's flawless." I'm like, "Well, yeah," but there's a lot I like. There's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of like, and some of the stuff,
a lot of good. Like
a lot of good
stuff that worked amazing, and the stuff that didn't was negligible. Stuff that didn't work, like, meh.
And I think maybe I'm a little more sour on it than others because I did not love season 3. I thought season 3 was like, what if season 1 again? And I was like, all right, but I'm excited for the show. The trailer didn't wow me.
No,
but I'm still hopeful. But I'll tell you this, and we're going in deep tangent territory, but. What it did make me think about is, Sal, are you familiar with the Cormac McCarthy book Blood Meridian?
No.
Okay. So Cormac McCarthy, writer of No Country for Old Men, which the Coen brothers adapted in The Road, had a Viggo Mortensen movie. The Road's one of my favorite books.
Yeah,
I have owned a copy of Blood Meridian, which is supposed to be his magnum opus since I moved out to LA. So like 12 years now. And I keep not being able to penetrate it. And like a year ago, I got the audiobook of it, hoping that would help. And it was still struggling. But now when I feed my baby, I listen to at night specifically, because we do late night feeds. I listen to audiobooks. And this is not the most ideal way, because Blood Meridian, there's a lot of like the men sat around the fire and they were like all men and the fire was like all fire. And it's like, that's when you're trying to like, is the baby puking? Is that, that's not necessarily but it's been helping me get through it. Blood Meridian has notoriously been incredibly challenging to adapt.
Yes.
And there's a character in it called the Judge. I swear to God, this will connect up.
Familiar, yeah.
Yeah, there's a character in it called the Judge that I have not finished. I'm like 3 chapters away from the end, but he's the devil. He's basically, it's like this guy, and he's preternaturally big. Like, he's a really big guy. He's hairless, pale skin, and we learned that like, oh, he's good at fiddling, and he's preternaturally good at like fighting people and all this stuff. And he's just good at everything. It's like, this guy's the devil. I don't know. We haven't gotten to the thematic denouement, but I'm pretty sure he's the devil. But thinking about how hard they've struggled to adapt it and everything. And every time they mention the Judge, it's like, you need an actor that's big, like a big guy, hair, like you could shave their head or whatever. But then they talk about him like he's got features, like he's got baby like lips. And I'm like, who is this guy? And for a while, from 2011 to 2016, James Franco was trying to adapt it. Boo, James Franco. Boo him of all people trying to adapt it. But one of the goes at it, they didn't say who was cast as who, but one of the people in the cast was Vincent D'Onofrio. And I'm like, that he was going to be the Judge, and that's correct. Once I read that, I'm like, oh, obviously Vincent D'Onofrio would play the Judge. That is, if we adapt it now, that is still the correct answer to that question. Vincent D'Onofrio should play the Judge in the Blood Meridian adaptation. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now, Sal, what do you think of the trailer?
Oh, it's it looks fun. It looks like a it looks like a trailer for the Netflix Daredevil show.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm all on board. I tweeted about this actually after I saw it, but I didn't realize how much I missed Matt just screaming primally
Yeah.
until I saw this trailer again. And I really do. I love Kingpin and Matt. Like they've set up that tone of like just and I'm like, man, like I just imagined that Matt meeting Peter Parker and him just being like, just Pete being like, holy shit. Like
Dude, and that's the thing, man. I remember we've talked about this before, but when those Netflix shows were coming out, people were like, well, it couldn't be in the MCU proper because the tone's so different. And you and I have spilled a lot of digital ink, metaphorical ink, talking about like, well, that's the point. That's how comics work, man. That's how, the tone doesn't match. And to me, that's also the beauty of crossovers. It's like, yeah, exactly. I would love to see Tom Holland's Peter Parker, that all he's ever had to do is like pal around with Iron Man and Nick Fury or whatever, deal with this. Like, oh, wow, this is some real shit going on here.
Yeah, an unrelatable Spider-Man, because like that's the Spider-Man who like met the other Spider-Man, and he's like, I was in space and I fought Thanos, and they're like, whoa, I fought a guy in a rhinoceros costume, and I'm like, that's so funny because that's Spider-Man right over there, that 40-year-old who just said that's Spider-Man. And I would love for him to be like, we have to deal with this guy. He's just such a piece of shit. I hate him so much. He's mayor and he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's cool. I fought I've been through some bad times. He's like, oh yeah, like what? My aunt was killed by an interdimensional goblin man.
Yes.
And he's gone now.
Yeah.
And an alternate version of me spared his life and then took him back to his home dimension.
Cool. But for real, we're talking about that in the tone of the joke. I actually would love to see that conversation happen on screen.
Right?
I actually really
we more or less did, because he's basically like, that is the 3 Spider-Man having that conversation. I'm like, yeah, but just put that in the MCU with more characters. Like Miss Marvel being like, oh my god, you're Spider-Man, you're so relatable. He's like, there's nothing about me that's relatable anymore.
Yeah. But and truthfully, Miss Marvel actually shares a lot in common. She's been to space and fought.
I know, yeah, she'd be actually really, like, yeah.
But like, I love the idea. And by the way, we get some clips of Kingpin wrecking shop in this. I'm like, I'm excited for that. That looks cool. Listen, the cast is great. Charlie Cox is great. I am excited for this type of thing. It felt like I think maybe the part that kind of threw me off is like the trailer really wanted you to know, like, by the way, that violence, it's going to be violent. I'm like, I mean, good, but I don't care. Like, this doesn't get me excited.
Yeah,
like,
I remember when you said that for Moon Knight, and it was still a boring, terrible show. So like, I don't know.
The only thing that I'm like, is we get the shot of him opening his closet, and there's a bunch of Daredevil's masks. I'm like, that's not who Daredevil is, man. He's not Batman. He doesn't have his multiple armors hanging up in the Batcave.
That shot is for us because it's like he was yellow in the She-Hulk show.
Yes.
He's had 2 different suits in the other show. Like, and maybe we'll see different versions of it. I don't know, but like, it's just acknowledging. Yes. If you have a question about whether it happened or not, yes.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Also, thank God bless him, that we're not going. I liked the black ski mask suit.
I'm done with that now. Please,
we're done with it. I want Daredevil. Give me those double D's, man. Give Daredevil his double D's.
I couldn't believe, like, the first season.
Yeah,
he's just wearing like ropes and a black outfit, and I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. We're gonna build towards it, and you know what? This is canon. It's cool, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And then season 3, he brings it back, and I'm like, okay, but we did that already.
Yeah.
Like I want him in the suit. We got the suit, and it looked amazing. And they're like, no, but Bullseye will wear it. And I'm like, how about you have Bullseye?
Mm-hmm. Dressed like
Bullseye. And they're like, not
call him Bullseye. Did they? I don't remember
if they. I don't remember if they ever call him Bullseye, but like, it is Bullseye.
It is Bullseye. Yeah,
and I really liked him. Like he was so nuts in like a fun, awesome way. I was like, I liked that Bullseye. I want sociopath Bullseye. Like I want Electra killing Bullseye.
Yeah. I don't need Bullseye to have a backstory, personally, but I liked the scene. Like, wait, is this guy? Because there's rumors. Is this guy going to be Bullseye? And there's that scene where like Kingpin's upside down in the car, and he's just taking dude down. I'm like, oh, that dude was Bullseye. He's like, that's a Bullseye.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know what I wanted them to do? You know what I wanted them to do?
What's that?
That I thought it would have been a neat way to. I think it would have solved a couple problems. I think in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because we introduced Bobby Morse, aka Mockingbird, and they had, because we have Jeremy Renner off in the movies. He's not a love interest of Mockingbird in this. And we had to bring in another Shield character from the comics. I'm like, here's what you do, guys. You say that Hawkeye is part of the Hawkeye, just like Black Widow's a Black Widow. You say Shield had a Hawkeye program. And so now Clint Barton is Hawkeye in the Avengers. This guy in Agents of Shield is Hawkeye on Agents of Shield. And then you say our Bullseye was a Hawkeye, which is why he's so good at hitting people with things.
He might even have been the best Hawkeye, but he flunked out of our like psych evaluation program.
Yeah, because he's out of his goddamn mind.
yeah. We should not have trained him how to use everything as a deadly weapon.
Yeah, that was a mistake. It turns out not good for everybody. And we thought being a psycho we thought that was a plus. Turned out not so much.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, that's the Daredevil talk that you guys tune into in our Superman show. But listen, the trailer just dropped, all right? Cut us some slack.
This is clipped. It's its own video now.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, the power of editing. That's right. This is Krypton Academy. We are talking about Superman, all the Superman stuff. But now, in between Superman's 3 and 4, A Quest for Peace, we got a Supergirl movie.
Yeah.
Of course, as always, if you want us to read your comment on the show, we got this little thing called a super chat. We already got a couple super chats. Maybe I should have read them before I'm going to read them on air right now, but I'm going to read them on air right now. They're both from Tea Time 480. Regarding your convo about DC, I think Reeves is the one blocking Pattinson because he said that he would play Batman for as long as people want him. And this is referring to a video I stopped over on Comic Pop Returns. You can check out that video over there. So how do you feel about I think
I mean I've always maintained that it is Matt Reeves that wanted to keep it all separate and not share with the other universe. So I mean that was definitely something that we agree on. And I'm down for it. I know that it was interesting to see like the kind of like spectrum of comments about that, because we were basically like, fold Pattinson in. Why you had such a salient point, which is just why have two competing Batman movies when one is like a critical darling?
Yeah.
And the other one will have just an uphill battle. And we're like, yeah, go for it. And it was amazing to see how split the audience was, where you saw people emphatically being like, I cannot agree more. That is amazing. That's a fantastic idea. I've been saying it since the jump. And the literal exact opposite, people being like, what a horrible idea. That would never work. I never want to see that. It's a completely erroneous concept. And I'm like, that means that like this is actually like worth talking about because of how divisive that statement is. But
Tea Time continues, and he has repeatedly said he wants to do full-blown supernatural stuff and even suggested multiverse stuff down the road. That is the tough thing, man. This is what they wanted to do. With the Flash, they wanted to have their own Spider-Man No Way Home. But the only character DC can really do that with is the one character it really doesn't work with, which is Batman.
They tried in comics and like it was just a mess. Horrible.
I do remember it was definitely Zero Hour. I want to say the cover was, because I want to say there might be a reverse.
You're thinking of a Man of Steel issue of Superman.
Okay, yeah, with Superman where he's surrounded by all the different Batmen.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, it's cool. It's just Batman, and maybe it's because of the way Batman's been presented in movies, is that he doesn't we don't get a lot of that swashbuckling fun Batman. And so the idea of Christian Bale's Batman hanging out with Michael Keaton's Batman, hanging out with Ben Affleck's Batman doesn't have the same, like, that doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. That's something I don't want to see. It's in no way appealing to me. And it's not just because I find the whole Spider-Verse thing repugnant as well. I like those movies, but I also am like, thanks for making Spider-Man a relatable kid from New York, become a multiversal like totem. But they have some big shoes to fill and some tough nuts to crack when it comes to getting Batman in the DCU, because they got to differentiate him, but they also have to do something kind of like fun. Again, like you said, I want like a blue suit smiley Batman, not like a Adam West jokey Batman, but like a kind of Jim Aparo drawn Alan Grant Ian, not full blown Alan Grant, like a guy who smiles at Gordon and Robin. You know, a guy who like lets his guard down around Alfred because he changed his diapers. He could he could fight sex traffickers and also Clayface. You believe it, and it's just not like, it's not frustrating or complicated or confusing. It's just one day he's fighting a purse snatcher, the other day he's fighting Man-Bat. this is the character, you know?
Well,
And as long as you square that circle, you know, the sky's the limit.
I think when you say that stuff, especially when you think of the movies, people might be like, I just don't see how that works. And it's like, there's a template for it. It's called Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, yes.
And he did that. Was it. What Sal just described is Batman the Animated Series. That's what that was.
That's 100% exactly right.
Yeah.
You could get like an episode where like Gordon took one stray bullet. And the whole episode is just about how he's like, I think I should stop being Batman.
Yeah.
And then you have another episode that's a two-parter where he's fighting a dude who used to be an actor who got a goo he could put on his face to make his face look like other people's faces.
Yep.
I couldn't even make clay look like the thing that I'm trying to make clay look like as a project. I can't even make it look like an ashtray for my grandma. This dude's making faces out of his own face.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all there. It all worked.
Morgan Le Fay is in that show.
And I think for point of reference, you know, for using the Batman as our jumping off point here to contextualize the movie we're about to talk about, Supergirl.
Oh my god!
If you all are excited for to see Milly Alcock hang out with Jason Momoa as Lobo, this is not that movie.
No.
In fact, you might have never even heard of this movie. It's on Max. That's how I watched it. This, I'm going to be honest with you, Sal. I think this is a better movie than Superman 3.
It is. It is easily better than Superman 3. I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Like, this is weird how okay this movie is. It goes off the rails, but it's so like it feels like almost the most Saul-kind type movie. You know, like you see their name immediately and you're like, this is one of those movies where like no one fought for it.
Yeah.
Like no one, they got notes. It's the Spider-Man the Animated Series in the 90s of Superman movies where they're like, they got a note, they're like, done.
In it. Yeah. You're right. Cause it's one of those, like, I'm not going to argue that this is a good movie. But I am arguing for chunks of it, I was having fun. It's too long. There's a bunch of time like, we're about 2/3, like we're 30 minutes in. We're 30
2
minutes
hours and 5 minutes this movie is. And there's like, I'm like, no, hour 30, $1.30, you're good.
Yeah, $1.30, you're good. But having just watched Superman 3, this is the lowest of the movies we're going to cover. This is the lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, I don't think that. Yeah, it's 8% with an audience score of 26%. Although this does come with the caveat, Sal.
Yeah.
Of should we cover Shaquille O'Neal's Steel? Should we cover?
I mean, yes. I've seen that movie. That's okay with me.
Okay, all right. So with that caveat, because it has Shaquille O'Neal's Steel has the same tomato score but a lower audience score. So with the caveat of Steel, of the movies we cover with Super in the title, this is the lowest rated, and I want to be like, but did you guys see Superman 3? Because
I did, and I can tell you that movie ain't good.
Yeah.
And it's borderline unwatchable. Like it's really, really bad.
So to bring it all back to what we were just talking about, I think context, this is 1984. So this is what, 5 years away from Tim Burton's Batman. So if you're wondering why Tim Burton's Batman like blew the doors off in the way it did, because since then I would personally argue we've gotten better Batman movies, but like the huge cultural moment that Batman had in '89, realize 5 years prior, this was the type of superhero movie we were making.
That being said, I will say, because it's true.
Yeah.
But people didn't like it. It wasn't like, this is all we had and we loved it. This is something where we saw it and we went, no, thank you. and we're like, okay, all right. How about something else? But there's a lot of things that work. And I think, do you want to just like jump into like what works about this? Like some things you liked about it.
Yeah.
Like, well, off the bat. Before
we do that, I do want to do one little piece of business. A lot of things to pick out, but I did want to take a moment to mention.
Yeah.
With the caveat that I feel like there's no good time to start promoting right now. Now is not the best time to start promoting a project. And I know a lot of people, the LA fires aren't impacting them, but it is impacting a lot of people in my community. That said, I'm just going to be candid with y'all. Like that, I thought like maybe I should postpone. I'm going to talk about my next Kickstarter that's coming up.
Please do.
Like maybe I should start postponing until next week. And next week is the inauguration. I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to have to bite the bullet on this one.
There is no good time.
I'm just going to have to say that now is the time to tell you guys about my next project coming to Kickstarter soon. It's Danger Boy and the Antagonist. This is my first go at a superhero comic. It is, of course, not a traditional superhero comic. It is a cyberpunk thriller.
Nice.
But I love the genre, the superhero genre. But when you're going into it, I mean, it's the same thing when we were talking about Batman. You're trying to like, what is the angle? If you're doing a new Batman, what is your point of entry that hasn't been done? And so similar with looking at superhero fiction, as I worked on other comics, I didn't really want to tackle it because I was like, what do I have to say that hasn't been done to death?
Yeah.
And I started working with an artist, Sean Peacock, who I think is fantastic. I think he's really great.
Awesome.
I think you're going to be seeing his name popping up a lot in future. In fact, he's got a book coming out, I think, this year with IDW Dark. So stay tuned for that. But the original promise that Marvel gave us was, we're going to tell you superhero stories that are set in the world outside your window. But the world has changed, and I think superhero storytelling needs to change with it. And so this is my attempt to push that type of storytelling forward in a way that like is something I'd love. So it's set in kind of like similar to the way that like Batman Beyond took, the superhero world that was established and pushed it forward into like a cyberpunk future. This is set in kind of a post-superheroic dystopian. We're in a world that still has superheroes that maybe aren't as helpful as they like to position themselves as. And the world has evolved around that. And you're following the titular Danger Boy and a group of misfit outsiders as they try to save their city of Lost Taurus from a team of superheroes that are starting to move into the city and make it worse and not better. And so it's got a lot of like kick-ass action. It's fast-paced. It's irreverent. If you like my previous stuff, it obviously a similar spirit because it's coming from the same person, but it's pretty different. I'm going to be telling you guys more about it as we get closer to it. But if you could, please, if you're interested, if you're like, oh man, this looks cool, I might want to know more, or I might be interested, you can go to dangerboycomic.com. That'll take you to the pre-launch page. For people that have been listening for a long time, you know the deal. Sign up for that pre-launch page. It'll let you know when the Kickstarter goes live. There will be some, early bird discounted tiers. There'll be some special stuff for backing it early. You're going to want to be there during the first couple days. That helps you out because you guys are going to get special stuff. That helps me out because Kickstarter is very much like, it's a marathon, not a race, except for the first 2 days, which are a race. So, if you want to get in there first couple days, dangerboycomic.com. Stay tuned for more, but go over there, sign up for the pre-launch page. There's a little bit, if you want to know more about the project, there's a little bit there. So go, please check that out. Truly support it. I think you guys are going to love it. Obviously, I'm getting pages from Sean as we're working on stuff. I think it's the best project I've worked on so far. And I think you guys are going to love it. So now to answer Sal's question about things that I like about it. You know what's weird that I didn't think I would like? I actually liked the villain's magic based.
I hate how it's sexist.
Wait, it's basically their fight. That part, dude.
Because for me, it's like as a kid, I was like, even as a kid, because I had a book called like Comic Book Superhero or something like that, and it just showed me movies that I had no access to, old Captain America serials or the Fantastic Four movie or the Supergirl movie, which I mean, like I didn't have that. I couldn't find that for like on tape.
We need to do those like straight to TV Captain America movies. I don't know what show we do that would fit into, but
right. Yeah. But I can't it always rung to me like, oh well, this is the girl movie.
Yeah.
Because Supergirl couldn't fight like Brainiac or even just like another land developer. She has to fight witches.
Yeah. But I think I like it because it's a change of pace. Weirdly, even though like in my brain I know like, well, 2 movies ago Superman fought Zod. This feels like a bigger threat than anything Christopher Reeves actually faced. Right. And Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway is fucking wasted because she is great as the villain. But you're right. The motivation is like for one scene, she wants to take over the world. The next scene, she's real pissy that Supergirl has caught the eye of a guy that is definitely too old for Supergirl.
Yeah, too old for Supergirl. And by the way, that guy will inevitably, like a few years later, be Ellis from Die Hard. And I was like,
I didn't clock it. I was like, this guy looks familiar to me. Where have I seen him from? What sitcom has he been on? And so I looked at him like, oh my God, it's Ellis.
I was like, oh my God, he's just without a beard. He's really weird looking. I was like, oh my God, like, no, he's Ethan, the sexy groundskeeper in this movie. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. I like Helen Slater in it.
She's great.
Again, like we're gonna get into the stuff because the plot's all over the place. Argo City, whatever's going on there. Is it underwater? I guess we'll find out in the final
water
scene.
Is like water's remember she came through the water when she arrives. Like, no, the water's like some kind of a weird portal type thing. Yeah.
Whatever, man.
She goes through space. Like she gets in a ship.
We go to the Phantom Zone in this movie, and I'm like, that would have been good in the Superman Zod one. He should have gone to the Phantom Zone.
Yes, absolutely. They should have, or brought up the Phantom Zone ever again.
Yeah,
like maybe we're gonna see Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. Put Solar Man in the Phantom Zone or something.
Here's the thing, dude. You're 100% right in that this is a very Soul-kind movie. In that there's a lot of competing interests because there's stuff about it that where like it starts working and then it gets Ethan the sexy groundskeeper derail every time we like spend time on that, completely derails the movie.
Yeah, like Jimmy Olsen shows up out of nowhere. Like for the first, like the movie sets you up where you're like, okay, we're not gonna see any, like we're not gonna get anything, right?
Yeah,
like we're getting obviously she's aware of who Superman is, but we got Superman's cousin. So Superman exists in this universe. It's in the same universe as Christopher Reeve. Okay, cool, I gotcha. But we're not gonna see him. We'll see a poster.
Yeah.
But then like, oh, Lucy Lane. Okay, I see what we're doing. We're only doing tangential. This is a She-Ra episode.
Yes.
Where it's like we might refer to He-Man, but Lord help you if you want to see those characters interact. You're gonna have to wait till Christmas for that stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I hope you've read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, right?
I love Supergirl.
Okay, so I haven't read it.
Oh,
but
I'm in for it, my friend. It is fire.
But my concern is because my understanding of it is Supergirl and Deep Space, and I'm like, I hope James Gunn knows that I want to see Supergirl share the screen with you. Have a Superman, you have a Supergirl. See it, even if it's
Superman will not be in that movie.
If it's just that it ends with her finally arriving on Earth and she's like, "Hey, my cousin," and they like hug in a post-credit scene. I'm like, I need to see that. Don't do what this movie did. I need to see Superman and Supergirl on screen together, man.
I'll tell you what I can. What if? How would you take this?
Yeah.
No Superman and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow because he is straight up not in that movie.
Yeah.
A Superman character from Superman the movie will appear in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Okay.
And what if the post-credit scene of Superman the movie is them setting up Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow?
Sure. You know what? Sure, man.
Superman and Supergirl share the screen at the end of that.
Is it like Woman of Tomorrow? Is this pre her meeting Superman, or she's met Superman and she's off on her own?
It is okay. It is in continuity.
Yeah.
Everything has already happened. The idea is Supergirl is turning 21. And so she is going into deep space to go to a bar that has a red sun so she can actually get shit-faced on her birthday because she's a miserable person. And she brings Krypto with her. So Krypto is like her bodyguard while she's out in space. Not like she needs one. And she ends up getting solicited by and then it becomes True Grit. A kid shows up. They're very verbose. They enlist her aid in kicking ass and taking names, and then they go for it.
So with that said, we know in Superman we live in a universe where Krypto exists. All that stuff is established. Cool. So if Supergirl's already part of the formula, we already cast the actress. There is no reason that you're right that the post-credit scene in Superman can't set up Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
100%.
The only thing I want to avoid is this movie, what we did in this movie, and what we did for the first season of the Supergirl Melissa Benoist Supergirl show, where like here's Superman's red boots. It's like no. You have your Superman, you have your Supergirl, you are one studio, nobody else is competing for the rights. I want to see them on screen together.
I agree. And I don't know how much how deep you went into like how this movie got made and stuff, but like all I could think about while watching this movie was, I don't understand why Christopher Reeves isn't in this movie. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, but 3 was so terrible and 4 is going to be worse. So
Yes.
how can you possibly think that this is going to be the low point?
Well, and it's also like I get it. You're right, because he does come back for 4. Although I think it was out of the Sulkind's hands at that point. So maybe by the end of 3, he's like, I'm good with these people.
Oh no! Well, if you didn't already look it up, he was supposed to be he's the plot device of this movie. Like,
he was supposed to be Supergirl's supposed to save him. Yeah.
Supergirl's supposed to save him, and then he sees the numbers on 3 and goes, "Well, I don't want to get stuck playing Superman until I die.
Yeah,
so I'm out."
and
like just pulls completely out of this movie.
Yeah,
to the point where like he can't even like show no red boots, no nothing. He's a poster in a dorm. Nothing.
Yeah. Disappointing. Also, while we're doing a little like behind the scenes stuff, but we do get the mention of him, and my eyes roll back in my head. Is as a character is leaving in their car. The news reporter's like, Superman's off in another galaxy doing a peacekeeping mission or whatever the fuck. Who gives a shit?
Right, but like he's in another galaxy.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that you actually could have made a Superman movie where he's actually in space fighting aliens and stuff? Because based on the last 3 Superman movies I've seen, your budget is like $12.50.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you could even imagine hiring anyone to make like a mask.
Yeah.
Let alone have him be on an alien world.
Yeah. So
is it a pirate world? Is it a cowboy world? Is it even like Star Trek?
Off-screen, Superman jumped into a full-on Silver Age adventure, and we never got to see it.
Never see it. What the hell?
They should do that for the comic. What is it, Superman 78? They should do that for a run in the comic. Like, hey, here's what he was doing while Supergirl was on Earth.
I love that idea. Because I also think if Supergirl landed on Earth, he would want to see her.
Yes.
Like he would want to meet her. And so I'm glad he is in another galaxy.
Okay. We need to get into it. The last thing I want to say behind the scenes is Demi Moore was not only of The Substance. Anybody who watched that movie last year, good movie. Demi Moore was auditioned for Supergirl and was going to be cast as the Lucy Lane, but ended up having to drop out. And it's like, that's a bummer for the people making this movie, because Demi Moore would have been cool in it. And it's funny, for Supergirl, it was Demi Moore and Brooke Shields both auditioned, but the way it's positioned is the Sulkind's wanted an unknown. It's like the Sulkind's wanted to pay an unknown, the fee of an unknown. That's what the Sulkind's wanted.
Yeah, I understand the motivation for wanting an unknown, but we also know the Sulkind's, and we know that like that was creativity was on the lowest part of the list.
Yes. Yep. In the super chat, we got Merrimouth Haunt said, "Nerd crush on Supergirl. The terrible movie had a special place in my DVD collection." Understanding that.
Yes, Helen Slater is gorgeous in this movie.
Yes. Unpheasant 11. I feel like they chose witches, so it could be a female villain, not because of the fact that they are weak to magic. Oh, they don't.
Would have been cool though if they even addressed that.
Yeah, they don't even bring up that that she's weak to magic. So speaking of Clark wanting to meet his cousin, baffling. We open on what we come to learn is Argo City. It's a very open floor plan.
And they have like unfortunate close-ups to like the rug not being like actually stapled down. Like there's this great pan where you see, and they think they're like, look at this splendor, look at this set. And by the way, big sets, and I'm like kind of impressed. Like there are so many moments where I'm like, whoa. Well, you know, like they're nice, big, clean, wide shots, good-looking flying effects. I'm like, this is all working out really well. But then they have that pan where, like, we go up to like the second balcony area where, like, clearly, you know, a stagehand or a camera is supposed to be. Yeah, and like you can see like the rug kind of like folding up over, and I'm like, oh yeah, HD does not help these movies.
Yeah, 100%. I do like that it's a much different vibe than what we've seen of Krypton before. Not nearly as sterile, a lot more like organic feeling. But here's where we get into like a lot of plot loopiness. We're introduced to Zoltar, played by Peter O'Toole, who is weirdly giving off like mad villain. Like, by the way, I'm your friend now, but I'm going to be the villain later. Except that's not what happens.
How could Peter O'Toole say yes to this? What is he doing in this movie?
I don't know. Dude, okay, real quick. Peter O'Toole, Mia Farrow as Allura. Well, we know how we got Mia Farrow. We're like, well, fucking Marlon Brando was the dad in Superman. Do you want to be the mom in Supergirl? Mia Farrow, Faye Dunaway. What are any of them doing in this movie? Why did any of you sign up for this movie? Especially if Mia Farrow was barely in it, because all the stuff that would go to like which is the Jor-El stuff, is fucking Peter O'Toole, is Zoltar. It's got a magic wand, and I guess the thing that's protecting Argo City from the outside is like paper mache that like she's able to cut through with she makes a dragonfly with this
dragonfly that cuts through, that breaks through the window, and now they're gonna die.
Now they're all gonna die. But so they all talk about, no, we know about Superman. We've heard of him, and it's like, what is happening here?
Right?
What's the situation? How did we never even address? How did they survive Krypton? I don't think we can even bring it up.
They don't like bring it up so much as they say like, oh, well, like, you know, they go to like, it was an invention. Like inner space is basically them going into the Phantom Zone.
Oh,
but
dude, I love.
We want to use the Phantom Zone.
Saturn and Mars are in outer space. We're in inner space.
Yeah.
Moving on. Well, no, time out on that. What does that mean?
What are you talking about? They're like, nah, basically like they're on like an overlapping dimensional plane.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, you know, I mean, but like, and I like the idea of there being like, I couldn't believe Argo City was in this. I can't believe they got the name right.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't make up one, because then of course, like Zoltar is here, and he has the name of a wizard, but that makes sense because there's witches in this.
Yeah.
You know, like, come on, like Zoltar is literally the name of a wizard in a booth you put a nickel in to get your fortune read.
Yeah, to become big, to get big. That's what
you get big.
Yeah.
But now it's Peter O'Toole, you know, celebrated Oscar screen legend.
Yeah.
Peter O'Toole is like is playing with magic wands and balls that like are clearly attached to a ring so that he can look like it's hovering.
Yep. If you want to know how bullshit the Razzies are as a concept, both Peter O'Toole and Faye Dunaway got nominated for Razzies in this. I'm like, no. The movie, yes. Their performance, they're doing so much heavy lifting to make any of this work. This movie is riding on their backs.
It completely is. And it's like, no, you know, you want to give them a Razzie for bad choices.
Yeah.
I'll grant you that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you should have signed on for this, but they're doing the Lord's work in this.
Yeah, they're working here. These are hard workers.
So you brought up the magic ball. I don't remember what the Omnisphere, whatever it's called.
Omnisphere, yes. Or no, the Omnihedron?
Sure, whatever, man. I don't know what this thing does. I don't know why it matters. Zoltar,
like it powers Argo City and also can like give life and stuff.
Sure, man. It's magic, whatever. I don't know. The point is, Zoltar, even though he founded the city, saved it, and is clearly the most important person there, apparently he's not allowed to have it. And so he gives it to Supergirl, and she blows a hole in Argo City. And so, and my favorite bit in all of this is borderline incomprehensible, Sal, but my favorite moment is as Zoltar is explaining to Supergirl's parents, well, actually, through this device, we could go find it. We follow Supergirl as she leaves earshot, as he explains this thing seemingly for the first time. So she doesn't hear any of this. She just goes into this like orb with the costume just laid, the Supergirl costume just laid in it for some reason.
Yeah, right. He was gonna go in there. So is that his costume? Was he gonna wear the skirt? I don't know.
Hilarious. And she rockets off. I'm like, but you didn't even finish hearing what he was saying. How did you know how this works?
I don't know. I like it because like for her, she's wide-eyed, she's optimistic, she wants to do good, she's entirely emboldened by her cousin's antics as Superman in an outer space. And she just wants to, it's one half that she feels the guilt of having doomed Argo City because she dared to make a dragonfly that broke through the very fragile window.
Yes.
And dangerously fragile, you might say. But she wants to atone for that, and I think she wants to like meet him and be super. And it's like, I get this. Like this is the Little Mermaid. You know, and I'm like, that's smart. Like in '84, you know, in 2025, Supergirl Woman Tomorrow, she has a sword, she kills people, you know, or at least she
love that, man. It's like, a female lead, she needs a sword to chop people up. That's what we need.
For the record, that's not Supergirl's sword, that's Ruth Eye's sword. She gives it to Supergirl because it's her only collateral. She's like, I'm gonna pay you by giving you my birthright. But Supergirl just holds it in that cover, she never really uses it.
Okay, I gotcha. Because that was one of my favorite things that Grant Morrison did in Wonder Woman Earth 1. He's like, no. We're not doing that. We're not doing this stuff with shit with Wonder Woman. No. We're not going to give her a little phallic symbol as her weapon like that. Come on, man. So she blasts off to Earth following the Megahedron, which literally drops in like Selena's lap. We learn through some like just an interchange with her and Nigel that I guess she's like a witch in training or some shit.
Or it's like she's a wannabe witch, or she's a charlatan.
Yeah. Sure, basically, sure. Yeah, like whatever, man.
She's a snake oil salesman. She's a fortune teller, and she's an opportunist.
Yeah. Yeah, and so she gets this, and now she's done with Nigel, whatever.
Whoever Nigel is,
he ends up being Supergirl's teacher. I'm like, guys, do another pass on this. Like, we'll get into this more, but like all the school stuff. I'm like, why is Supergirl?
What are we even doing
with this? Why is she even
right? Like, and how did she get the? Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You could have done a pass on the script that said like Selena is the headmaster. Of the school, and that's why Supergirl's there. She needs to find the orb, and Selena's there, and that's why Nigel's there. And now everybody, that all makes sense. Nope, she's just completely unrelated. She decides to go to school for some reason. Anyway, we're not there yet. We are, however, at what I think is not just my favorite scene in this movie, might be one of the best flying scenes in any Superman movie.
It's great.
It's really because she lands, she does some of the classic stuff we've seen in these movies where they clearly don't understand how the Superman powers work, because she like helps a flower grow with her heat vision, and I'm like, what is this?
What? That's some Salkind shit right there.
Yeah, that's some like Zod's telekinetically floating people, and like, what do you think their powers are, man?
That's Cellophane S right there.
Yeah. But then she starts flying, and it is one of the most. And I'm not, there's stuff where you can see the strings, man. It's like cheap '84 movie. Like, I'm not going to defend necessarily the special effects, but the vibe that it captures of what it would be like to be a person that cannot fly, and then suddenly discover that you are a person that can fly, and you're on Earth for the first time, and you're just flying around. I'm like, why haven't more Superman movies stolen from this scene? It's such a joyous, buoyant feeling.
Yeah. I know. I loved it. It was fun. It was cute and fun. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. Like, you really nailed it.
Well, and it's funny too, because I think this is one of the benefits of being a Supergirl movie over a Superman movie, because specifically once we get into the Richard Lester era of it. And by the way, I think we can firmly say that the Superman 1, the Superman the movie, was a happy accident.
100%.
It was a happy accident.
It's just they had there was no reason for it to work. It works accidentally. There's parts that really don't. It's just it came at the right time. If it came out like a year earlier or after, it wouldn't have worked. Like,
they got Dick Donner, he got it. But anyway, once you get into the Richard Lester era, they're really obsessed with making sure Superman, for lack of a better word, sorry to be crass, but like basically Superman fucks. All right. Superman, 100%. He's not going to be clowned by a bully. He's going to go beat up that bully later when he has powers. He has sex. And with Supergirl, you'll be like, well, what if she's just happy flying? That's okay to happen too. Because even Man of Steel does the same thing. Like, we need to make it like heavier. And it's like, I don't know. I kind of think this is the way to go with this.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, it's a great scene. I truthfully, if you can find it online, I would just watch it. It's kind of worth watching the movie I like the scene. Anyway,
that's completely agreed. Yeah, no, I was saying it to my wife because she came in and she was like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, you just missed the flying scene. It's actually really nice.
Yeah, it's actually like suddenly like, because we're coming in hot out of all the garbage in the opening of like, what is even happening in this movie?
Yeah,
and then that happens, like, oh, we have other tools in the toolkit that we can pull out. So we get that flying scene. I have in my notes, Selena shows up at her lair. She already has a lair. And anyway, who is Bianca? I still don't know, Sal. Who is Bianca? Why is Bianca
her friend? We need a hilarious sidekick who will be killed as well because she's part of it.
For some reason, because she's around. Dude, so funny. I also can't help but think of like, this feels like a couple of guys sitting around making a movie, which, by the way, the director is he's a French director, so I'm going to butcher his name, Jeannot Swark or whatever. He worked
recommended by Chris Reeves, by the way,
because they worked together on Somewhere in Time.
Yeah. Can you believe that? So, like, I'm sorry, you planted this French director into this franchise because you worked with him, and you're not going to be in the movie.
Even for
he could have even just been Clark.
For real. Yeah, for real. So anyway, he also directed Jaws 2 for anybody else wondering the track
Which
record here.
is, and this is true, horrible.
In case you're wondering, I don't think I've seen any of the other Jaws. I've only seen Jaws 1.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, okay.
Jaws 1 is a masterpiece, and then there are other Jaws movies.
Then there are other Jaws movies. But yeah, so I also wonder, because it's a bunch of guys sitting around making a movie, and they're like, yeah, you know how like these women, they have their women friend that they live with. That's just their friend.
It's just their friend, and there's no subtext there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Big time.
Yeah, so anyway, so Supergirl has a bracelet that she used to track the orb, which was pointed out to me when I went on the wiki to find behind the scenes stuff. Doesn't work sometimes because they mentioned the boxes in lead. The movie never does the legwork to connect the dot. I did not pick up on the movie saying like, yeah, when it's in the lead box, you can't track it. And when it's not in the lead box, you can track it.
I just kept noticing that they kept shoving it in boxes, and I'm like, why do we need it to have like a fun shell?
Yeah.
I
do
okay.
This is confusing, Sal. Maybe you can help me out. They shove it in like a little dragon box that grows. My question is, Selena gets her powers from this situation. Is this the Omegahedron? Did they put it in a black magic box and the Omegahedron is activating the stuff in the box? What is the mechanism for what's happening here?
Yeah, none. There's no thought. It's just like oh no. Okay, if you want to go further, it's in a box that's shaped like a dragon so that the Hedron can infuse the shape with life the way that Supergirl drew a dragonfly and the Omegahedron made the dragonfly live.
God bless you, Sal, doing the work the movie's not doing. I did want to go. We have a comment in the super chat. Have you seen the headband Supergirl suit that started the filming of the movie with that they later reshot? Yeah, there was a test suit that was based around Supergirl's costume at the time. And while it is cool that they did that, this would have been the wrong choice.
Just would have been horribly, like, as dated as this movie is, it would have dated it even further. Just would have relegated it even further. Like, that headband is doing no one no favors.
No. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad that photo exists. They made
me
the right
too.
choice with not going forward with that version of the costume.
Same. Absolutely. Just don't do that.
So this is a superhero movie starring a woman. So we need an opportunity for her to clown a couple sexist guys off the bat.
Please. Yes.
Fortunately for you and me, Sal, it is one of those sexist truckers is Matt Frewer. And that gave me
he looked familiar. Thank you.
So much joy. I'm like, anytime Matt Frewer shows up on my screen is a happy day in the Woolridge household. But it did bum me out that it's like, just the trucker. Give him. I know this might be like one of his first two things, but like, it's Matt Frewer, man. Give him something.
I know. Give him some. You know what it is? That was just like, well, he could have been nothing. Like, I mean, Matt Frewer's in a lot of things around now. He's almost Max Headroom, if not already Max Headroom at this point. So like, maybe this is like, he's like, I bought too many houses. I need I need help, and they're like, oh, we'll put you in here. And it's one of those things where it's like, we don't have time or money for you to clown around. Like, we can slot you in. It could my cousin or Matt Frewer.
And Matt Frewer. Okay, let me, because you just, within the context of this conversation, I would not normally have made this recommendation.
Right.
But Sal, for one, you are 100% right. It probably should have been Brainiac. Like when they're opening on Argo, I'm like, it should have just been the Bottle City of Kandor. And had the villain be Brainiac and whatever. But because we're talking about Supergirl and you mentioned Max Headroom, Matt Frewer is Brainiac? Is there something there?
Can we do that now?
Can we do now? Definitely. Now it makes even more sense. At the time, people would have been like, I don't know, but like Max Headroom. Think about Max Headroom, though.
Not only that, but like Matt Frewer as the Max Headroom version. Like the 80s version of Brainiac is Max Headroom.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
That would have crushed. That would have been like, if they had done that, like this is because this feels, I mean, it feels like a direct-to-DVD kind of movie.
Yes,
I mean it's not like because it has too much budget. Like this looks better than 3.
For real, dude. I'm glad you mentioned it, especially when you're in Argo. Like you were right about like the seams of it, but you're like, oh, you guys actually spent money on this movie.
But they spent money. Like money is spent. Like they
monster. I'm like, why'd you spend money on this?
I don't know. It's weird and it's good looking. Like I kind of dig
it. Dude. Watching it, I was like, I need to rewatch Neverending Story. That's the feeling I have in my gut watching this right now.
Neverending Story, I just rewatched a couple of years ago, and let me tell you, it's exactly what your psyche has scarred into your mind. Like exactly as it was. But
yeah, so
yeah. Money was spent.
Matt Frewer's Max Headroom. Oh, and here's the thing they could have done that they would have loved at the time, because you could have. Oh, does this predate the Milton Fine? It does, doesn't it? This predates the Milton Fine Brainiac, because Milton Fine Brainiac is post crisis.
Yes, he is.
Okay, because they could.
But I mean, yeah, but he would have just informed it more. I mean, like honestly, he wouldn't have had the Errol Flynn mustache, but he would have. I mean, like the Kaloe and purple pants wearing Brainiac still existed. Like you.
Well, yeah, because what I'm saying, what they could have done, and they would have loved this in the 80s, is he's an evil hacker that gets possessed by this alien computer program that makes him Brainiac. They would have eaten that shit up, man. They would have
done that. That's. Yeah. I mean, like it's annoying that Richard Pryor wasn't turned into Brainiac in 3.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Pryor is the wrong person to cast as Brainiac.
Oh, I agree, but they would have. But
that's
the movie got made because Richard Pryor's in it.
Yeah. But it's like, again, and Matt Frewer has never had the cachet Richard Pryor has. But it's like, that's Mr. Max Headroom is Brainiac. It's right there, guys. It's right there.
I know.
But we don't live in that world.
Yeah,
we live in this world. Yeah, I do. The last thing with the truckers, I love that these guys see a person dressed like Superman. She clearly exhibits the powers of Superman. And these two guys are like, I'm still going to go for it. What the fuck are you thinking, man? What do you think is going to happen right now?
Seriously, I can't believe it.
Yeah. So Nigel shows up at a party. I think this is where we get the party at Selena's lair, which is an amusement park, which I don't hate, except that, again, she should be the headmistress of the school. We should.
Yeah, just combine just trim it down. You'll save me 5-10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah,
it's just it's worth it.
But she's at this amusement park. There's a party. The only reason this party matters is we see that her powers are growing because Nigel, who she exhibits nothing but loathing for Nigel. But the second Nigel starts flirting with another girl, she doesn't attack Nigel. She attacks the other girl.
Yeah, of course. So this movie is a feminist masterpiece.
Yeah. And so that happens, and we also Nigel's like, by the way, for reasons that I'm not going to go into, if you keep doing this monster will show up, and we see our first glimpse of the monster, which, as Sal pointed out, does not look bad.
No, it's frustrating how good it looks. It won't look good when he's stretching Supergirl at the end.
No,
but, the monster looks good.
No, I don't even know
like, what. Did he just transport her to the psychic plane, and we're interpreting what's happening? Like, damn it.
The psychic plane. So anyway, whatever, that scene exists. Supergirl watches a softball game, and in this game, as she's watching this game, two things happen. One, she for some reason inexplicably decides, I need to go to school, I guess. I want to hang out with these girls, apparently, and she magically creates the school uniform they have. Here's the other thing, Sal. I had not seen this movie before. So I did not know when we showed what will be Sexy Lawnmower Man. I did not know. I thought, okay, so there's a guy there they're flirting with. This guy is going to end up being a key to the whole movie.
He's the linchpin of the whole movie. Everyone wants this dude.
For reasons that aren't entirely clear to me.
No, it's because Ethan is just so sexy.
See, though, easy. Different times. Maybe I couldn't see Ellis. So then, okay, gang, we are now well and truly out from under the shadow of the great flying sequence, because now we're enrolling at the school for, again, reasons that the movie never articulates.
No.
And how she comes up, she meets this headmaster, and this just doing classic 80s head of the girls' school, where he's just walking into the girls' dormitory willy-nilly. It's a laugh, it's a romp. And she needs to come up with a civilian name, which is not Cara Danvers for people that watched the Supergirl show. No, she gets her inspiration for all things. She looks around. Wait, there's, I guess, a calendar featuring Confederate General Robert E. Lee. She's like, good enough. Good enough.
Love it.
Love that our Supergirl gets her surname from a Confederate general. What are we doing, Sal? What's happening?
I don't know. It was a really weird, terrible choice, especially because there is a Danvers in this movie.
Is it damn dude? I don't know, and I don't. Do you know if I don't remember where the Danvers surname comes
from? No, I don't recall.
And is it accidental that it's the same as Miss Marvel / Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers? Was that an accident?
It has to be no, it could be a throwback. No, I don't know. I think it's because Miss Marvel's created in the 70s, so I don't know.
Because it's one of those, like, she goes to Sal, for people that ever watch a movie, Sal's 100% right. She goes to the headmaster. It's Headmaster Danvers. I'm like, oh, okay. So there's going to be a joke how, like, oh, what's your last name? And
Danvers.
Be like, Danvers. Oh, we have the same last name. That's the joke that we're going to do. No, she looks at a picture of Confederate General Robert E. Lee.
Yeah. And why? Like, why is that up?
Why is that up? Questions about the school and this curriculum and the guy that is running it. It'd be like having a poster of fucking Benedict Arnold, and that's where it's just like,
or Lee. Yeah. I have a Lee Harvey Oswald poster.
Oh, my last name's Oswald. Great, good choice, everybody. That's how she gets her name. What the fuck are we doing, man?
It's bizarre.
So weird. It's whatever.
But again, like that's the thing. Like that's the thing that like keeps this movie from being like a lost classic. Like people who are like, dude, we gotta like have a re-release of Supergirl from Fathom Events. We gotta have a big thing. It's because like there are just weird choices, like things where it's like just little like speed bumps that keep the movie from flying.
Yeah, right? 100%. And I would argue pretty much anything Linda Lee related just drains the movie of any of the momentum it builds. Because once we get into more, and we're going to get into more Supergirl stuff, it actually doesn't suck. Like the Supergirl part of it is actually pretty good. Anything with like the school, like the part I like about the school is in the school we meet Lucy Lane, which is Lois Lane's sister, and I'm a sucker. Anytime we're gonna make a little connection, as Sal pointed out with Argo City, I was shocked that they knew that Lucy Lane was a thing.
The fact that it's not like Laura Lane or something, they didn't just make it up out of whole cloth, is baffling to me.
Because again, we're just coming off of a movie with Richard Pryor. What was his name? I don't even remember the character.
I don't remember the character. We made a whole joke of the entire episode about how like his character name is iconic and he'd never be forgotten. Yeah,
it's fucking Richard Pryor just playing himself. And by the way, I don't want my tone to be misconstrued. Richard Pryor is a fucking legend, man. It's just why is he?
He's a legend. His character was not.
Yeah, why is he the lead in a Superman movie? That's where that comes from. That's where the confusion comes from. Okay. So, we get a scene where Selena, sexy lawnmower man, shows back up. What's his name? Keith? Fucking, I don't remember. Ethan.
The boyfriend? Ethan,
the lawnmower man, shows back up. And Selena, help me out here, man. Selena's like, okay, so I want to rule the world. Why? Silver Age supervillain shit. Who knows?
Yeah, because she deserves it.
Sure. And she's like, what people want in the world is love. So now my whole character motivation is going to be getting this guy to love me.
Yep.
What is happening? What happened?
Because it's the same reason they're witches. It's because like we got girls in this movie. We got to make sure that like the reason they fight is because of a boy.
Yeah.
And it's like,
sure, man. Also, another baffling thing that is our going in, I knew was Mark McClure, who plays Jimmy Olsen in the other Superman movies, was in it. And I thought that would matter. I thought like, he's going to be the love interest. No, he's basically just a cameo because he's in Lucy Lane, which again, so here's the thing that's going to end up happening in this movie again. Linda Lee / Supergirl is going to get paired off with Ethan, the sexy lawnmower man. Lucy Lane, her dorm mate, is going to get paired off with Jimmy Olsen. There is no reality where either of these men are age appropriate for. These are teenage girls. And these are men that have careers. We are led to believe.
Yes. They have retirement plans. I don't know. This is a thing. This is a Hollywood thing. Where like, producers are like, make sure that like there is some subtext within the film that indicates that you're never too old to hook up with a girl who's like under 20.
I remember one of the biggest culture shocks. So for people that don't know, I grew up, I bounced around a lot as a kid, but I spent most of my time growing up in Florida. One of the biggest culture shocks when I first came out here, I lived in Burbank for a while. One of the biggest culture shocks going from Florida to Burbank was how many times, and especially like I was looking for work, and so I was spending a lot of time at like different like cafes and stuff writing. How many times you'd see two people and you're like, is that your daughter or your girlfriend?
Right.
What's the situation here? And it was almost always the girlfriend. And so those are the guys, those are the shot callers in town that are like, yeah. Big, by the way, yeah. It's okay. Older guy with his teenage girl. Make sure everybody knows. Make sure that's a thing that people think about and believe.
just make that so that it's normal and accepted, so that like when I'm hitting on girls at like clubs and whatnot, they're not like skeeved out, and Kesha won't write a song about how gross it is.
Yeah, normalize that for me, would you? Please and thank you. So anyway, whatever. Because there's literally when Selena lures Ethan the lawnmower man back to her place, she asks him, do you have a wife? That's the type of guy we're talking, like somebody that could conceivably be married and might have kids.
100%.
Oh god damn it. So Lucy Lane, I don't have a picture over here. She's played by Maureen Teefy. They did a good job casting somebody that like, I believe that's Margot Kidder's sister. I totally buy that.
Yep, she's fun. She's cuter than Margot Kidder. I like her.
Yeah, they don't do anything with it. But she's
she exists.
Nigel's a teacher at the school. This will not matter. Nothing will come of this. Selena tries to seduce Lawnmower Man. She puts a spell on him. I think the rules of the spell are the person you lay your eyes on, you will fall in love with. But she gets distracted by something that I do not have in my notes, and I do not remember. And he ends up wandering off into the street, and we get a fantastic moment where they are I think they're sitting on, because one of the major, if you look up Supergirl 1984, the one you'll get is her standing in front of Popeyes. I think they're at a Popeyes, and anybody paying attention, playing the home game, there's also the school headmaster has a Tylenol bottle when Supergirl walks in, and then there's a big during this whole sequence, there's a big Tylenol billboard. So this movie is brought to you by Tylenol and Popeyes chicken.
And Popeyes.
But anyway, Jimmy Olsen, who's too old to be dating Lucy Lane, is on a date with Lucy Lane. And when Supergirl sees Ethan the sexy lawnmower man just wandering through the street, he's like, hey, don't do anything there. He might be on drugs, and he'll probably have a knife and a gun. Let's go inside.
What?
Like, good job, everybody. Good job in your Supergirl movie. Way to be empathetic in your Supergirl movie.
Yeah. Well, it's the 80s, you know.
It's the 80s. You know, those druggies just wandering through the street. Let's not do any social services for those people. They probably have guns. Wait, don't we like guns? No, not with those kinds of people.
We don't want them having them. Yeah.
Anyway, I was just thinking of other ways they could have made it more on the nose, but you guys get it. Anyway, so while this guy's having an episode, our superhero goes inside to have a sandwich, and then Selena possesses a bulldozer. This is one of those moments, Sal, where I feel like we're about halfway through the movie. It's like, no, we're like 30 minutes in or something. Like,
I can't believe it because it just moves. It just like after this, it's like, okay, well, it's over. Like,
yeah. So anyway, he gets grabbed by an earth mover that Supergirl then. By the way, Supergirl stands and watches for a hot second while Lucy Lane, of all people, tries to stop, and it's like,
she's like,
lady, you got superpowers. Fucking step in here, man. Do something to help save the day with your big Brett S costume,
please. Nah. Well, she's also new. She's new to this whole thing.
Yeah. I have my notes here. Selena just needs. Why is she doing this whole thing with the bulldozer? She just needs a better henchman than Bianca. She needs somebody.
Well, Bianca, in her defense, didn't sign up to be. I'm just here for free rent. You know, like
Bianca's here for the free rides on that train car that's in her lair. Why don't we all Sal?
I don't know.
If what comics and movies have taught us, and you can just live in an abandoned theme park, what are we doing? What are we doing, man?
Why can't I live in an abandoned toy factory?
I want a layer. I would love to have with a fucking little train it could ride around on.
Seriously,
give it to me, man.
Well, I mean, if the 80s have taught me anything, and they've all lied, is that like Rube Goldberg machines should be ubiquitous.
Yes.
We use them for all kinds of things, and we don't.
I want to live in an abandoned theme park with a Rube Gold machine that makes me coffee. I don't even drink coffee. I just want it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to be able to, I want to time my wake up perfectly. And like it creates this whole like elaborate, like my alarm goes off and eggs are made, coffee is brewed, and by the time I hit the front door, like I will put out my hand and a plate of like eggs on toast will land on it. And, you know what I mean? Or it won't work comically, you know, and then I'll just go and I'll make a face like, and then I'll leave.
And then you'll hear laughter coming from somewhere and you're like, that was weird. And then you'll just move on with your day.
Exactly.
Okay. So Kara saves sexy lawnmower man Ethan from the bulldozer. He sees her. This is what activates the spell, and now he's decided he's in love with this child.
Yeah, that's right.
And Selena is not happy about this because again, now suddenly she wanted to rule the world, but now her conflict is a man.
Yeah.
This sequence is actually not awful. So she summons this creature that is invisible at first. We're pulling from, I think it's Forbidden Planet. I think that's the classic where the monster's invisible. Great sci-fi movie, if I'm getting the right one. Robbie the Robot, whatever. It's a good movie. Anyway, so this creature is invisible and stomps its way over to the school, and Supergirl has to stop this invisible monster. Other than the fact that she defeats it by having a light post struck by lightning, the sequence that was the moment, Sal, where I was like, wait, is this a bigger threat than Zod? This feels like a pretty big
I mean, certainly, yes. I mean, yeah, Zod is like 3 guys.
Yeah. Yeah, Zod is famously 3 guys. This is an invisible magic monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was one of those, like, we could have done this for a Superman movie. This is pretty intense for Supergirl because this thing's tossing around, it's crushing cars. Yeah, so Supergirl fights the shadow monster. She electrocutes it with the light pole. That part's a little anticlimactic. But this is where I have in my notes out. Lawnmower Man Ethan is Ellis from Die Hard. That's why I looked it up. Okay, so she uses her little watch to find Selena at her lair. And we get a little fight with them where Selena's using her magic power. Conceptually, I'm all for this. She's using her magic powers to like fight Supergirl. Supergirl throws a bunch of rods around her. Again, this feels more super than anything we got in a Superman movie. Like she's using her powers and shit.
I know it feels like this movie feels like it has like more freedom to do more like, I hesitate to call it comic booky shit, but that's what I'm forgetting.
Yeah. Because then, so she throws a bunch of like rebar or something around Selena, and then after she leaves, Selena like bends it down, and I'm like, it looks cheesy, but it's like cool though. It's like the vibe. The vibe is right. You guys got the vibe right.
Yeah, she's wearing a like comic book accurate Supergirl costume. Like it should be a little like fun and big.
Yeah. Oh boy. And they get a lot of mileage out of the leg in that Supergirl costume. They get a lot. It's a movie. It's a Supergirl movie made by men in the 80s. Yeah. So Supergirl flies. She saves Ethan from Selena. She flies him to like an island or something, and then like Selena takes him out with a coconut to the head. Again, like, every time it feels like we're going someplace.
3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Like,
they call Bianca, and Bianca convinces Selena to call Nigel for help. I did not establish this earlier. I think Nigel's supposed to be. He's the computer math teacher at the school, but he's also a warlock.
Yeah, he's a warlock. He trained the Selena and stuff. Like he was. Yeah.
I know.
I know.
And okay, so they call Nigel for help. They break Ethan out of the spell. Ethan is still in love. He sees Supergirl. He's not in love with Supergirl. He's in love with Linda. Classic.
Yes.
And the spell's broken, but he's like, no, I still love her. I know Linda. Dude, you've exchanged like 2 sentences maybe with this person. It's weird. It's a whole weird subplot. I don't know why I don't know why we're doing it. Okay, so then Supergirl. Oh, this is also weird because I have my notes. Supergirl reveals her basically is like, by the way, I'm Linda, but then later they do a wink, wink. Like Ethan's like, no, I know that your Linda is Supergirl. It's like, I told you. Do you not remember?
Yeah, we know.
Are you still here? Are you still recovered? Did you get a concussion from that coconut?
Yeah.
Anyway, Selena makes this a mountain castle in the middle of the city, which is Midvale. They established earlier on. Selena, dude, this part is sick. Again, once we're it's like this is everything with Ethan. I'm like, cut this shit. I don't give a shit about it. But then you're like, all right, I'm kind of done with this movie. Then I don't know how Selena's aware of it, but she sends Supergirl to the Phantom Zone. That's cool.
Yes, it is. It's a great idea and a fun plot point that would have been better than Superman fighting an evil version of himself.
Yeah, dude. If in Superman 3 had been sent to the Phantom Zone, this is how superhero storytelling in cinema has evolved. Because now, if you're paying attention, if people gave a shit, in Superman 2, you have Zod and Ursa and Non. You don't kill them.
No,
you send them back to the Phantom Zone. So then in Superman 3, Brainiac or whatever sends him to the Phantom Zone, and now he has to work with Zod, Ursa, and Non. That's how you do it, gang. That's how you make this shit fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's not this, but we did establish Peter O'Toole is going to be in the Phantom Zone, I guess, for dooming Argo, whatever. He needs to be there.
He puts himself in self-imposed exile because like he feels responsible for having doomed Argo, which is hilarious because it's like, well, Argo City is going to be destroyed, and like the right thing to do would just be to be destroyed in it, but you put yourself selflessly in the Phantom Zone where you will be the sole survivor of Argo City.
Yeah, or like at least stay and pretend like you're going to fix it or something. No, gang, sorry. I know you're.
I'm leaving.
I'm leaving.
I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to be here.
But the one downside to this whole situation is it's still a Supergirl movie produced by the Salkinds. So all we get is Peter O'Toole being like, "Oh, by the way, there are other evil psychos here. We're not going to see any of them, but trust me, they're around. They're just off camera over there." So meanwhile, Selena turns Midvale into like a police state. Like seemingly overnight, there's protesters the whole nine.
Yeah.
Hilariously, she imprisons Nigel, Jimmy Olsen, Lucy Lane, and there's a fourth cage that remains empty for reasons that are unclear to me. Just cut the cage. Who's supposed to be in there? Was that Superman's cage, or just get rid of it?
Yeah, I don't know.
If the fourth cage is going to be empty, they'll just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Zoltar's in the Phantom Zone. We get kind of classic where it's like Supergirl's like, hey, this Helen Slater's pretty good in this. She's like, hey, you need to buckle up, man. You need to like nut up and help me get out of here because we need to save the day. This is unfortunately undercut by like the second. Basically, Zoltar's like, well, there's no way. Well, there's one way. Well, we don't want to do it, but it's dangerous, right? And Supergirl's like, no, we got to. And then literally the second, because again, we're treating it like a girl movie. The second she sees it, she's like, oh no, this is too hard for me. And Zoltar's like, no, you need to do it. And I'm like, this is literally 2 scenes ago. She was the one who was dynamic.
Yeah, I know. Get it.
But anyway, all this is going on. Selena starts throwing fireballs. She sees that they're escaping. She starts throwing because the portal just appears in front of her. Like it doesn't make any sense. It's like the Phantom Zone's like, by the way, these 2 people you put in here, they're getting ready to get out. I just wanted you to know by FYI. She starts chucking fireballs at them. And then there is when they see this vortex, which doesn't look awful, by the way.
Yeah.
There is a giant whirlwind in there. And then Selena's like, I'm going to summon the demon wind. And then that same whirlwind that was already there sucks up Zoltar. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess that's the demon wind or whatever.
Bye, Zoltar. I guess you got the atonement you were seeking.
Yeah.
Enjoy death.
Peter O'Toole was in this. He wasn't in any Superman movie, but he was in this.
Peter O'Toole. People are masturbating constantly over the fact that Marlon Brando, infamous massive diva, who's been in like 5 good movies. Yeah. Peter O'Toole is in the Supergirl movie.
Yeah,
weird.
Oh man,
Brando's great. He's a legend. Moving on.
Yeah, but don't worry. So Supergirl shows up. She starts fighting Selena. So the invisible monster was the same thing we saw in the little vision Nigel gave her, which is the same thing that she summons now, but it's like in this full demon horse dragon form, which is honestly like a way cooler. Superman 3, Superman's fighting like a computer, man. Like it's literally like an IT room, server room that he's fighting. Like this is way cooler than that shit.
Yes, it is.
And all seems lost, but don't you worry. Zoltar's gone, not forgotten. He Obi-Wan's Supergirl, and he's like, remember, use the Force, whatever.
That was weird. Like the Zoltar is like in her head being like, it's me. And I'm like, why?
I'm here in spirit. I'm in the demon wind. Don't give up or something.
Right? Like, what?
And so whatever. We're at the end of the movie. Ethan,
yeah, the movie's over.
The movie's over. Ethan grabs the orb or something. Supergirl. This is where we get the scene where the monster is stretching Supergirl, and it's like, well, maybe cut this. Everything else about the scene looks pretty good, but this doesn't. So maybe cut this part. And as Sal pointed out earlier, not only does Selena gets sucked up, but Bianca gets sucked up as well, along with the Shadow Demon, back into the mirror that Supergirl escaped from. So one presumes they're in the Phantom Zone,
right? That's fair to say, and that would allow her to come back, which she never would. But still,
we'll follow up in Supergirl too. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this day is saved. Supergirl's talking to Jimmy and Lucy, and she's like, by the way, I need you guys to know. And they're like, don't worry. We'll tell everybody. We won't tell a single person that we saw you. I'm like, why is that the takeaway? What?
Yeah, right. We'll never tell anyone the Supergirl exists. Okay.
Cool. So that way, when Superman 4 Quest for Peace happens, we don't need to acknowledge it, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
And then this is where Ethan's like, hey, I know Linda's Supergirl. I'm still super hot for both of them. And they're like, all right, well,
cool. I'm leaving, so bye.
yeah. By the way, I'm going forever. So then Supergirl dives into the ocean, where I guess is where Argo City is, and she puts the Omni Orb. She takes the last shot. She has the Omni Orb.
Yeah, and then the movie ends. I was like,
we see Argo City, and I guess we assume day saved, Argo City saved by Supergirl. Thanks for the laughs.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh man, and that's the end of Supergirl. That is the end of Helen Slater's run as Supergirl.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, she shows back up, I think, in not only Supergirl but also Smallville. I want to say she had a brief. She's somebody in Smallville.
I don't know. I never saw it.
Did you never watch Smallville?
Not really.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know, right?
I did think about like, maybe once we do the Superman movies, maybe obviously Superman the animated series, but we could also do Smallville. And then I'm like, that show ran for 10 seasons, 24 episodes a season. We would do that for the rest of our lives.
Right, exactly.
If we covered 2 episodes a month, that's 50 months.
Yeah, no, it would be. I mean, if I were starving for content, that's a smart move. I mean, that's certainly I mean, Michael Rosenbaum would say that it's a good idea.
Yeah, one, it's obviously like nobody else has thought to do a Smallville podcast, so it's unfortunate that we're not going to corner that market. But anybody else out there that wants to jump on that train. So, dude, Sal, Supergirl, it again, not a good movie, but I did leave it pleasantly surprised. I'm like, it was a little long, a little too long, about a half hour, 40 minutes too long, but
yeah. No, I didn't hate it. I was surprised by how like not terrible it was, but also it still has its moments.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It definitely, it was rough around the edges. It could have done another pass just to tighten stuff up. And I think that's what the disappointment of it is. It's like, man, you could have made this work. You could have made it sing. We'll see. So right now for me, it's definitely Superman the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Superman 2, then Supergirl, then Superman 3.
Yeah, that's my ranking as well. Yeah,
we're getting into some dicey territory, man, because next is Superman 4 Quest for Peace, another one I have not seen. You've seen scenes, you see.
I've seen it many times. I rented it many times as a kid. So because it's the only one where he fights a guy.
Yeah, that's true.
He fights Zod, but like Solar Man or whatever he has a cape.
Yeah, exactly. He's more of a threat. He's got a cape, man. And then we get into, now we've determined, gang, buckle up, and now we're going to do Steel probably after Superman 4 Quest.
Yeah, Steel.
and then Superman Returns, and then Manus. Then we get into the more modern stuff, and then it'll be interesting to see. Superman Returns I have not watched since I saw it in theaters, so I'll be interested to see that one. Is it because on Rotten Tomatoes it doesn't do too bad.
Yeah.
Like maybe in context, maybe I'll feel better about it than I did at the time.
We'll see.
We'll see if that Bryan Singer stink taints it.
And Kevin Spacey.
God damn it.
I know.
Oof. You know, one that when it comes to that stuff that is real tricky is Baby Driver of all movies.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot. There's Kevin Spacey. There's Ansel Elgort. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, Sal, where can the kids find you? What are you working on?
YouTube.com/comic is our main show where we talk about a story and break it down with a couple of fun characters on the couch. This week we're talking about more stories from Tales from the Dark Multiverse, but we are returning to continuity next week with Tom King's Wonder Woman.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for all that, everybody. Links in the description and all that, Chaz. You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. If you're watching this, you're on my personal channel, DJ Talks Trash. If you want to check out my podcast network, Only Stupid Answers, you can do that at youtube.com/Only Stupid Answers. If you want to get a taste of what Sal and I do on the Patreon, patreon.com/Only Stupid Answers. Over the break, I dropped the first part of our Deadpool Wolverine discussion. So you can check that out, youtube.com/Only Stupid Answers. Again, I can't stress this enough. Please go over to dangerboy.com and click the sign up for the pre-launch page. That's a great way for you to be updated on the project as we get closer or when it launches. And it's also a great way for me to kind of get a gauge of like who's interested, what the campaign might look like. You'll be able to hear more about the project. I am really, really excited to share more about it. I think this is a really cool project. I think you guys will really like it. If you're liking the superhero conversation Sal and I are having, I think you'll really dig this book. So go to dangerboy.com.
Dangerboycomic.com.
Thank you. Dangerboycomic.com. Actually, if you go to dangerboy.com with an I, that'll also.
Okay.
That'll still work. But and it is Danger Boy with an I. However, either way you spell dangerboycomic.com, both will take you to the pre-launch page. So go give that some love, and we will see you all next time. Thanks for everybody that joined us live. Bye-bye.